This presentation is to update scheme members on the latest with the 2018 USS valuation. A proposal supported by employers will protect current defined benefits for all USS members. This means members are guaranteed a set amount in pension payments based on their salary and length of service, up to the salary threshold of £58,589. Above this level, the benefits they receive will depend on how much they and their employers contributed and how well the pension scheme's investment fund has performed. Both employers and members are being asked to pay additional contributions, but this proposal is the most viable route to maintain member benefits while keeping contribution increases to the minimum that is acceptable to USS and the pensions regulator. This proposal will avoid much higher contributions schedules for October and next April. The Joint Expert Panel, JEP, is currently working on options for the next valuation, considering whether there are alternative medium-term options to reform USS to ensure benefits remain attractive and affordable for the long term. So, how did we arrive at this position? Every 3 years, the USS trustee, which runs the scheme, has to do a valuation, which is an assessment of a pension scheme's overall financial health. It is a legal requirement. When there was strike action and no agreement last year on the 2017 valuation between UCU, representing scheme members, and UUK, representing the scheme's 341 employers, a joint expert panel, the JEP, was established by UCU and UUK to find a possible way forward. The JEP reported in September last year with recommendations on possible ways to arrive at a contribution rate of around 30% of salary. USS concluded the 2017 valuation, creating a 35.6% backstop from April 2020, with interim increases in April 2019 and October 2019, but agreed to carry out a new 2018 valuation to consider the JEP recommendations. USS has presented a 30.7% contribution solution to conclude the 2018 valuation, which would supersede the 2017 contribution backstop increases. This is broadly in line with the JEP report and retains current levels of benefits at a lower price for both members and employers than the backstop. Employers support this proposal. The Joint Negotiating Committee, made up of UUK and UCU representatives with an independent chair, has decided how the 30.7% contribution rate should be split after the independent chair, Sir Andrew Cuby, cast his vote on 22nd of August 2019. The proposed contribution rate is 30.7%. Employers will pay 21.1% of salary and members 9.6% of salary from the 1st of October 2019. Both of these are lower than contribution rates we were faced with this October and April next year as part of the changes made under the 2017 valuation by USS. Employers appreciate that the cost of the scheme is increasing for members, but the level of benefits will not change. UCU has indicated that this is a priority for members, and employers have listened. No detriment is the official UCU position. UCU have campaigned over governance and valuation issues and have clarified their key demand is that employers should pay the full cost of any contributions increases above 26%. UCU are planning to ballot staff on industrial action in September and October of this year on pay and pensions. There are a number of reasons why employers cannot support UCU's no detriment demands. Employers have agreed to additional measures to ensure the employer covenant remains strong, including a moratorium on employers exiting the scheme, as well as debt monitoring and prioritisation of USS as a creditor. Paying more would mean diverting money from other budgets, with consequences for jobs, teaching and the student experience. The higher education sector is facing financial pressures. Tuition fees have fallen significantly in real terms since 2012. The Augar review is recommending a fee cut. And there's uncertainty caused by Brexit. Unlike government policy, pension costs can be controlled to protect jobs, programmes and the student experience while retaining an attractive retirement offer. Redundancies are already happening at institutions around the country. There will be more if pension contributions are unsustainably high. Many smaller USS employers are charities and research institutes who do vital life-changing work with philanthropic aims. there is a very real danger that some of these employers will have to make damaging cuts to absorb high contribution increases. It is also clear that a no-detriment solution where employers and members refuse to pay additional contributions will not be acceptable to the USS trustee or the pensions regulator. After the USS trustee confirmed the required contribution rate at 30.7%, the Joint Negotiating Committee met to decide how to share the increase in contributions between employers and scheme members. The employers had previously proposed to share the increases 65 to 35, but during the committee's discussions, UUK's negotiators offered to pay an additional 0.5% in return for no industrial action or ballots in relation to USS. The offer was subject to consultation, but if accepted, it would have resulted in 9.1% rate for scheme members, which is the rate proposed by the Joint Expert Panel in its first report, while employers would have paid more than 3/4 of the required increase, resulting in a rate of 21.6% of salary. The UCU negotiators rejected this offer and refused to pay any more than 8% of salary. The union claimed that investment in staffing is being cut. This isn't the case. Staff investment makes up 54% of all expenditure by universities. This has increased by 11% in 4 years. In 2017 to 18, universities invested nearly 5 times more on staff than on new facilities or major refurbishment work. Staff expenditure, $20 billion. New facilities and major refurbishment work, $4 billion. Another claim is that the scheme is in surplus. The JEP was clear that there is a deficit. It put forward a number of possible paths for the USS trustee to consider to bring about a contribution rate of around 30%. The JEP had access to 2018 data when conducting its report. If a rate of less than 26% was possible, the JEP would have said so. The pensions regulator, an important stakeholder, has made clear that it has concerns that the rate of 30.7% may be too low and is at the limit of acceptability. Ultimately, it is the scheme trustee and the regulator which have statutory responsibility for the financial health of the scheme. Some believe that more pressure should be placed on the USS trustee to accept all of the JEP recommendations. Employers and UUK have repeatedly questioned senior members of the USS executive over their response to the JEP recommendations and called for better information to understand some of the decisions the trustee has made. These views have been expressed through various consultation responses, summaries of which have been published online to the USS Employers website. Following this engagement since the publication of the JEP's first report, a solution is now within reach that requires total contributions of 30.7% of salary, as opposed to 35.6% filed under the 2017 valuation. That is a great deal of movement, and much of it is down to the pressure applied by UUK and the trustees' positive engagement with the JEP's recommendations. Professor Jane Hutton, a USS board director nominated by UCU, has expressed concerns over how USS is governed. Without the full details, it is difficult to comment on her allegations. But it is worth noting that the USS trustee has confirmed the decision to suspend Professor Hutton was supported unanimously by the board, including the independent and other UCU-nominated directors. We have asked the pensions regulator and the USS to keep stakeholders updated on this matter. The cause of this dispute fundamentally rests on the difference of opinion between the UCU leadership and the USS trustee on the degree of prudence, or level of risk, which should be borne within the pension scheme, and the methodology used to judge whether the scheme is in surplus or deficit. Employees recognise this. They were instrumental in setting up of the Joint Expert Panel to explore solutions for maintaining defined benefits and fully support its work and recommendations, and have pushed the USS trustee to accept them. The second phase of the panel's work, or JEP 2, is looking at the valuation methodology, including Test 1, and is examining ways of conducting future valuations that can be supported by the union, trustee, regulator and employers. JEP 2 is also exploring long-term options on flexibility, as the current model may not be appropriate for all employers, and not all members want to pay the same contribution level. It is hoped that the JEP 2 recommendations can be incorporated into the next valuation of the scheme. So far, however, UCU has not been prepared to discuss reforms that might suit those members who would prefer to pay in less for a different level of benefit. It is important to keep in mind that USS remains an extremely valuable staff benefit, and employers are doing everything that they can to ensure it stays that way. DB schemes have faced challenges. Only 1 in 10 remain open to new members, but the average USS pension paid to retirees is more than double the national average for DB schemes. There is no desire among employers to cut staff benefits. Employers simply want to ensure the scheme remains affordable for as long as possible for future generations of staff to benefit from. Employers have also agreed to a number of changes to the scheme, on debt monitoring and restricting employer exits to keep contribution levels as low as possible. And above all, employer contributions of circa 21% are extremely high compared to a regular workplace pension or anything you could find on the open market. In conclusion, employers hope that a way through the current situation can be found. They know how committed university staff are to their students. It is in the best interests of staff and students to find a solution to the 2018 valuation to avoid harmful contributions increases and to maintain the current level of benefits. The 30.7% proposal is the best option for achieving this. Employers want to work alongside UCU to find a long-term solution in the interests of scheme members and employers.